Hey, welcome to World Update 8. Today, I'm starting stuff out here inside the spawn chunks. As you may have noticed during the time lapse, I have removed the old iron farms. As for the villagers that made up the old iron farms, since they were 1.12 villagers, I decided I'd like to save them, so I've put them over here temporarily with my old villager breeder. All of this right here, honestly, was supposed to be temporary, but, you know, it's kind of been here forever, so, I don't know. At some point, gotta do something with these guys. Now, when it comes down to replacing my old iron farm with a new 114 iron farm, that's something that's not planned to happen for quite a while, because I have quite a load of iron. This right here is not the bulk of my iron. I got like 10 times this back at my base. I just have this yet to take home with me. But I got so much iron right now that honestly, I'm probably good for like the next 2 years of playing this world when it comes to iron. So when it comes down to making a farm that for, you know, a resource that I don't need, it's obviously a low priority right now. In other news, since the last episode of World Update, I have upgraded my PC. So rather than using a i7 3770K, I'm now using a Ryzen 9 3900X. Completely overkill for Minecraft. You do not need a 3900X for Minecraft. A 3600 would be just perfectly adequate, honestly. It'd probably get pretty similar performance as to this, given how lightly threaded Minecraft is. Still, the single thread improvement over my old chip is definitely quite noticeable, and you can even see that in action here, as I'm playing at 28 chunk render distance. Typically in the past I'd play at 16 chunk while recording, because that's really just the highest I could go while keeping the frame rate up. So this is really nice, but more importantly, the 3900X is really nice for video editing and rendering. I will say it's pretty darn nice for that. Even still, it is kind of overkill. But yeah. Anyways, on to the star of today's episode. Let's talk about ice. Currently, there are 3 types of ice within the game. There is just the regular ice, there is packed ice, and then there is blue ice. Blue ice has an absolutely brutal crafting recipe, requiring 81 regular ice just to craft a single block of blue ice. Blue ice has the special property that it's extra slippery, so obviously, that could be used for transport projects and other various things, I'm sure, although transportation comes first and foremost to mind. The problem I face is that I need to acquire a lot of blue ice. So I need an ice farm that can give me as much ice as possible. With that in mind, what are my options? Well, right at the top, you have, say, something on the level of SciCraft's ice farm, which gets them about 55,000 ice per hour. Something like that I could definitely utilize. Like, don't get me wrong, I would love to have something like that. But let's be real, the time requirement to build and the resource requirement is brutal, especially for a single player world in my condition that doesn't have those resources on hand. There are still plenty of farms I have yet to build in this world, and therefore it makes a project like that not super feasible. I mean, if I wanted to build it, I think the only reasonable way I could do it is like over the course of a year, and having it be basically a background project to whatever main projects that I work on. Alright, the second option then. If you look up on YouTube right now, the second fastest ice farm to SciCraft's ice farm on YouTube right now is gnembon's ice farm. And it's really great. It's easy to build, infinitely AFKable. I mean, it doesn't require many resources. Like, it's really nice. Pun intended, by the way. But I could definitely utilize more. So I got to thinking, how could I take the concept of gnembon's ice farm and milk every last item drop out of it that I possibly could? And what you're looking at here is the result of that. So this farm right here gets over 19,000 ice per hour. Actually, when I was testing in my test world, I got 18.8 thousand ice per hour, but I later found out I botched one of the collection points that would have easily sent it over 19,000 ice per hour. I have my doubts that it would do 20,000 though, but I do need to redo that testing, and I'm sure I'll put the exact amount on screen per hour that this thing gets like through a 10 or 12 hour AFK session. Now, how is it that this thing achieves over 19,000 ice per hour? And a lot of that would have to come down to the flood control system in each of the areas where the player AFKs through and breaks the ice. The flood control system, it works very simply just by restricting water from becoming sources and flooding the whole thing, so therefore the majority of ice will flow towards the player. As you can see, this fairly simplistic system just prevents more water sources from forming, so this is all flowing water and thus collecting the majority of the drops. In addition, underneath here at the points where I have to have like a sign and do a new water source in order to keep the player moving, I got these pistons. And whenever the player ends up runs over the pressure plate while AFKing, in addition to reflooding the platform, it will also retract the pistons momentarily. And that handles in case, like, ice gets stuck on here, which, hey, sometimes it does. So if I demonstrate, if I was to go over the pressure plate, you can see that the platform completely refloods. And of course the pistons are retracted and any items stuck on top of them will be collected. A way in which this farm achieves a substantial amount of density is making use of waterlogged blocks. This stair right here will only allow water to flow this way. So why not take advantage of that by having the AFK path and for the next row exist right underneath it. The footprint of this farm is larger than gnembon's farm, coming in at 7 by 7 chunks as opposed to 6 by 6 chunks. Now this does mean that whenever the player is at one extreme end of the farm, the other extreme end can have up to 3 of its chunks not be random ticked into for ice reformation. This isn't really that big of a problem considering the size of the farm. Speaking of which, why go this big? Why not just confine it in a 6 by 6 area? Well, the problem you get to is the limitations of a diamond pickaxe. You can only mine so much with it, and you could not get all the way through this farm with a single diamond pickaxe. So you kind of reach this dilemma where you could build it, to fill out a 6 by 6 chunk area, but you wouldn't have enough pickaxe durability to get through it. Like, you just have, you come up short. And it wouldn't make sense to exchange your pickaxe in the middle because then there's still plenty of durability on your pickaxe. You could still use it more. So that's the reason for going larger. And that's also the reason why I have 2 pickaxe exchange stations. This one's at the midpoint of the farm, so midway through, you get your pickaxe exchanged for a new one. This functions exactly the same as it does in gnembon's farm, even down to really even the redstone. Okay, like the wiring for this one's slightly different, but for the other one, it's literally just the same as in gnembon's farm. Creepy cave noises, interrupting my recording. While AFKing, when the player reaches the end of the loop, and if I use a minecart to transport them back up, since the player is holding down both left and right click, they can actually get into the minecart. And as you can see, they don't break anything, and if we just continue right on, and if I'm still holding down both my left and right mouse button, just watch as this goes all the way to the end, We get sat out here, and then we would come up on the pickaxe exchange station where we'd have our damaged pickaxe exchanged for a fresh one. The way you set yourself up to AFK at this thing is exactly like gnembon's farm. Put some food in the offhand, pickaxe in main hand, take off your depth strider boots, line up your view as close to 0-0 as you can get, fill up your inventory with junk, and find the best way to have both your left and right mouse button held down at the same time. You could use tape for this. In my particular case, I've been using a mod called Tweakeroo to just hold down the keys for me. That way I don't have to worry about like the tape coming loose or whatever when I'm doing an overnight AFK session. It's really just a whole lot more reliable to do it that way. After a nice long AFK session, you are going to have a lot of damaged pickaxes. So, let me go ahead and grab a couple of these, and we'll actually head downstairs, where I have an instant and pickaxe repair station. Well, not just one, but 112 of them. Yeah. So, in order to use one of these, it's fairly simple. Just make sure you're not wearing any other mending gear. Have the pickaxe in one of your hands, whether it be the main or offhand. Go ahead and pull one item out of the furnace. You'll instantly collect all the XP, instantly repairing the item. This design here is ilmango's furnace XP farm, which is being powered by a zero-tick bamboo farm by ilmango, and to provide fuel for the furnaces, and a zero-tick cactus farm, also by ilmango. You can kind of see a bit of a pattern here, to provide something to smelt for the furnaces, so that way they can build up XP. The only issue I've had is if I leave the area or log out with the zero-tick bamboo farm running, it will sometimes break. So I have to make sure to turn it off before leaving the area. Luckily, if I do end up breaking it, it's not that difficult to repair. I just have to replace the bamboo plants. When all the hoppers and furnaces are full of bamboo and cactus, any items that come down here will be destroyed, but not before they run over a wooden pressure plate, which will activate a despawn timer that will turn off the corresponding bamboo or cactus farm. That way I'm not having them run constantly. Originally I was actually just going to let them run constantly and any items just destroy them at the end, but I often use ReplayMod when I'm running the farm, basically just in case anything goes wrong. I can open up ReplayMod and find, whatever went wrong. But those zero-tick farms are actually pretty harsh on ReplayMod when it comes down to scrubbing through that timeline. So that's why I added that, so that way the zero-tick farms aren't always running, and it makes scrubbing of ReplayMod timeline a little bit more bearable. Up here I have my control for the zero-tick farm, since it's not safe to leave the area without the bamboo farm breaking, so that way I can turn it off. And if we go all the way down this hall, we have the collection point for all the ice. Using 5 slices of Pallapalla's double speed item sorter plus Shulker loader, and then we package the ice into Shulker boxes, at which point they are stored in these chests. And right here we have a Shuker Box Crafting Station, also designed by pallapalla, to assist in crafting packed ice, and especially blue ice. Uh-oh, I don't got enough inventory. There we go. Just go ahead and craft this up, craft that up into blue ice, put it in there, and as you can see so far I've collected a fair amount of blue ice. I'm gonna need quite a bit more, but this is definitely a great start. Well, there you have it, my new ice farm. Now you yourself in the future might at some point be needing an ice farm and might be wondering, should you build something like this? No, you shouldn't. Okay, so let me explain. The problem with this ice farm is the build effort and the resource cost in comparison to gnembon's ice farm. His ice farm is substantially easier to build. It takes substantially less resources than this. And this is only a few thousand more ice per hour. It's honestly not worth it for the vast majority of people. Now in my case, those few thousand more ice per hour will shave dozens of hours of AFK time off for me. So in my case, it's definitely worth it, but honestly, I am very much the exception here. If you need an ice farm for some ice, build gnembon's farm. It's a great farm, and honestly, I was pretty close to building it and such, but I wanted to try and see how far I could milk into the concept into that gnembon's ice farm follows. And this is the result. Now that my ice farm is done, my next focus will be my automatic storage system. It's going to take quite a while to finish designing and building it, so I am planning on an in-between episode where I make use of all of this ice I'm now farming. So, until next time everyone, I'll see you all later. Bye.